Hi, I'm Dan Aubuchon, and welcome back to the Joy of Tennis Teaching. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the other racket sports that are getting quite popular. When I came up as a young tennis pro, tennis was everything. And we were tennis pros and then tennis directors. The sport has changed greatly in the United States now and around the world. Look at the United States Professional Tennis Association. Began in 1927, and 2 years ago, for business reasons, they decided they needed to change their name to the Racquet Sports Professional Association. And I understand why. The business has changed today. And it's changed really because of the amazing and rapid growth of pickleball. Now, tennis is still the king of all these sports, and it's still my number one love. And the latest stats have come out about participation in the United States is a little bit over 27 million players based on the way they measure it. And now the goal of 35 million by 2035 looks a little bit possible, but it's still going to come down to the delivery system. It's still going to come down to a way to teach people tennis so they not only can learn to play the game, but they get hooked on the game and they stay in the game. I really believe that the gigantic boom of tennis in the 1970s was killed by poor teaching pros. So that's why I've joined, and I'm very much a supporter of USTA.com, the USTA's coaching brand. And I'm hoping that which is going to specifically focus on tennis and tennis in the United States helps deliver more players. But let's get into the other sports very quickly. First of all is pickleball. Pickleball is up to 24 million people. Just 2 or 3 years ago, it was at 8 million. So the growth has been remarkable. Why is this growth so big? Because it's super easy to learn, super easy to play, and can be played by players of all levels. To be honest, I don't think that the top pickleball pros provide that much entertainment value, but it is super easy. Now, the two drawbacks of pickleball is the noise on the court, the noise of the ball and paddle and the ball on the court, and injuries. It's a very little discussed thing, but lots and lots of people are getting injured playing pickleball. Part of the reason for this episode is last week Stacy Sims sat down with me and we listened in on a webinar on the RSPA site about Steve Bellamy's new sport, tip tee. Tip tee is played on a pickleball court with a shorter racket than a tennis racket, but not a regular junior racket, and with a special high-density foam ball. I haven't seen one of the balls yet, so I can't comment on it, but from listening in on the webinar, it seems like Steve still wants to do some more work on that ball to develop a ball that's more durable and better cost, etc. Tip tee, I think, has a chance because it's going to take advantage of all the pickleball courts that have been built around the country. And because it's played in this small area, it should be easier to learn. And also, because it's played with a strung racket and a foam ball, the sound is going to be much better. So I disagree with some of the things that Mr. Bellamy is trying to do. I think he's aiming at the higher end too much. And what pickleball teaches us is it has to come from the grassroots. It has to come from the low-level player. When there's more and more low-level players, there's more interest, there's more news. Pickleball ends up appearing on lots of commercials on TV now, and it's just growing. It reminds me so much of the tennis boom of the 70s. But I think pickleball's a little bit like the racquetball boom of the 80s in that it's going to die off a little bit just because it doesn't offer that much for the players to keep developing. especially for the mid-level players that want to do more. I think that's the opportunity that Steve Bellamy saw and hopes Tiptee will capitalize in on. I'm going to keep going on some other racket sports, but very briefly. Squash has a very small regional following in the U.S., mostly because it's played indoors and it's played only in certain areas of the country, and it's a very challenging sport to learn. I played squash a little bit in college, the old hardball squash, which is quite different than today. And I also played quite a bit of squash in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in the 80s when I was there. I think squash is an absolute fantastic sport, but its growth is going to be limited because of the need for the indoor courts. The other sport that I played and saw quite a bit of, didn't really play that much in Asia, was badminton. Any of you that watched badminton in the last Summer Olympics knows what an absolutely brilliant spectator sport it is. But it's also a very challenging sport physically. And with the limited access and the limited teaching areas, I don't see it growing much in the US. It's still combined to kind of the backyard badminton that isn't much. Platform tennis is another game that's very regional in nature. I played a bit of it in Wisconsin. It's very popular in the northeast of the United States, and there's not too much there. The hot one to talk about is padel. Padel, I've never seen live, but I have watched the Padel Pro League on TV, and with the top players, it's a very exciting sport to watch. I think padel is going to be limited despite the glowing reports in the racket sports media about the growth of padel, because it requires specialized glass courts, very challenging to install these courts. I think there's going to be problems in maintaining, and it looks like it's quite a challenging sport to learn. So the three to really keep an eye on are, of course, our beautiful game of tennis, the growth of pickleball, but keep your eye out on Tiptee and give it a chance if you're at a facility that has the opportunity to make extra use of your pickleball courts. So as always, we close up with go out there and enjoy and spread the joy of tennis.